Welcome back to Cityline. Joining us now, we have Joseph Fry, who is the Tacoma Program Director of Lutheran Community Services Northwest.
Hi, everyone. I'm Joseph Fry. Glad to be here, Laura. Thank you for hosting us.
Thank you for being here, Joseph. We also have with us Matt Misterick, and Matt is the Communications Director at Lutheran Community Services Northwest. Welcome to the show, Matt.
Thank you, Laura. Great to be here today. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So let's dive right in. Matt, I'm going to start with you. I have a few questions for you. So Matt, can you tell us what is special about this year for Lutheran Community Services Northwest?
Yeah, thanks. Well, it's our centennial year, 2021. We turn 100 years old. LCS Northwest we've had lots of different shapes and sizes and names over the last 100 years. And today we have all kinds of different streams of work flowing as far south as Klamath Falls, Oregon, and east to Spokane and Boise. We do everything from mental health treatment to crime victim advocacy, respite care for at-risk children. Of course, our work with seniors and refugees, which Joseph will touch on later. But the main thing, the neat thing, is that the headwaters for our agency are right here in the city of Destiny, right here in Tacoma, Washington. We formed in 1921 as the Lutheran Compass Mission. It was also known as the Lutheran Sailors and Loggers Mission. But to be clear, the sailors and loggers and everyone else we've served didn't have to be Lutheran, don't have to be Lutheran. But way back then, the people who were providing the help mostly were.
Wow, 100 years, that's definitely a major milestone, right?
Absolutely.
And Matt, what was the original reason for LCS Northwest coming to Tacoma?
Right. Well, literally, our mission back in 1921 was to serve the down and out men of Skid Row, according to our agency records. Now, in 1921, coincidentally, of course, America was coming out of, believe it or not, a flu pandemic, a terrible pandemic. So you'd think maybe our mission was centered around that, but it was really kind of the economics of the time. And our earliest work was centered on, the men down on the loading docks and other blue collar people looking for work. And that continued on into the Great Depression of the 30s. And at that time, we were renamed the Lutheran Welfare Society, but our mission was similar to what it was in the 20s, which was to lend a hand to men who were coming to town looking for work after the stock market collapsed.
Okay. And can you tell our viewers, Matt, how LCS Northwest has changed over the years, as well as how it has stayed the same?
Yeah, great question. I would say it has become less male-centric in culture, less Eurocentric in the clients served. And we've adapted to meet the needs of society many times. During the 30s, I already told you about our work during the Great Depression, we rented a farm to help put men to work. During the 40s, we got rid of the farm. We bought the old Oxford Hotel in downtown Tacoma at 15th and Commerce. And we ran a hostel there, a living quarters for wives and family members of servicemen who were based at Fort Lewis. Got rid of that in the 1950s. We've scaled up and scaled back over the years to meet various emergencies. In 1980, it was the eruption of Mount St. Helens, for instance. Up in Snohomish County in 2014, we scaled up to help with the Oso mudslide, if you remember that. And of course, various waves of refugees, which we'll talk about later. We've scaled up as needed because of the refugees. But I'd say the one thing that stays the same over the years is our commitment to those at risk of being forgotten or outcast. In Tacoma, that means senior citizens first and foremost. It started that way. We started to focus on seniors way back in the 30s, and they're still the heartbeat of what we do today. Joseph will tell you more about that later.
Thank you for that, Matt. Change is always good or can always be good, but consistency is good as well. And the fact that your organization has consistently provided the services that it has is a wonderful thing as well. Matt, what other enduring institutions in the Tacoma area have shared a heritage with LCS Northwest?
Right. Well, I'll just mention two big ones because they remain solid fixtures in our community today, and they were founded by our agency. One of them is, or was known for years as Tacoma Lutheran Home. It was recently renamed Eliseo, used to be Tacoma Retirement Community. Now it's Eliseo. Started out in the late 1930s as the Puyallup Home for the Aged. It moved several decades ago to West Tacoma, where it's still going strong today. Also, Good Samaritan Hospital out in Puyallup was founded by us, by Lutherans out in the, it was in the 1950s. Also still going strong, but both of those institutions both broke off from our agency and established different governing structures. I think it was in the 1970s, but they haven't forgotten their roots, for sure.
And then, Matt, I have one final question for you. Afghan refugees are in the news a lot lately, but caring for newcomers is familiar territory for LCS Northwest. Matt, can you tell our viewers about the refugee resettlement in your organization's history?
Yes, yeah, happy to do so. Thanks. It goes way back to at least the 1950s. That's where we found records of. There was a big movement of Eastern Europeans to the United States in those post-war years, and Lutheran churches under the umbrella of our agency took many of them in. But really, what I am most proud of, I think many of us are most proud of, is how LCS has met every wave of refugees that followed, without regard to race or skin color or religious creed. We may have Lutheran in our name, but it doesn't stop at the Lutheran creed. And that includes the exodus of Vietnamese and Cambodian families in the 1970s and 80s. It includes Iraqis, Iranians, Syrians, in the post 9/11 years. And right now it includes really an unprecedented influx of Afghans that are arriving in the Pacific Northwest. And again, I think Joseph will tell you a little bit about what we're doing in Tacoma on that front.
Well, thank you for all of that information, Matt. We truly appreciate it. Now, thanks. Joseph, you're in the spotlight. So Joseph, can you tell our viewers, how are LCS Northwest services in the Tacoma area transitioning into the future?
Yeah, well, that is a very, it's a deep question, Laura. There's a lot of pieces to that. But I will tell you, first and foremost, through the pandemic, LCSNW has really invested in the people we have here in the organization. As you know, through the pandemic, retaining and hiring staff has been a huge challenge, and it has been for us as well. But one thing we've done is really doubled down our efforts to make sure the people we have who are serving the communities that we've been serving over the years can remain in place, because they are the best people to continue to serve those communities. They have the most experience and knowledge with them. So we really invested in our staff and our people here. The second thing we did, of course, was invest in technology, like everyone had to. We had to be able to make sure that we could reach and communicate again, with these peoples that we're serving in ways that we haven't had to before. And a lot of that has been through remote service technologies, much like we're doing right now. So the other thing we did was we really took a look at our process and procedures that we had in place when it came to serving people face to face, because some communities we still needed to serve directly. Home care is a great example of that. We still needed to be able to go into people's homes and deliver the care that they need. And so we made sure that we had all of our processes and procedures updated to meet all of the new guidelines, all the new regulations, and really make sure we're protecting not only our clients, but our caregivers as well, so we could continue to serve those people. That was the major way we've done it in senior services. Now, in refugee services, we kind of have the benefit of a lot of the work that we do begins before we bring those refugees even over here. So we are setting up housing, furnishings for them, securing food, securing donations. All of that case management is happening in the background before they even arrive. So we had the luxury of being able to continue to do that without the pandemic interrupting that portion. Mm-hmm. But then, of course, the Afghan refugee crisis did require us to interface and interact, and we had to, again, follow all sorts of new regulations and policies to make sure that we could meet those needs, and we have. And we're proud to say that since August, we've already settled more than 41 Afghan refugee families with special immigrant visas. So quite an accomplishment that we're very proud of.
Now, Joseph, we touched a little bit on the pandemic. There's a little mention of, about the pandemic. How has that changed the delivery of services permanently?
Yeah, well, it has definitely changed things permanently. As you know, or as you may not know, we are actually in the middle of our strategic planning process right now as an agency. And we go through this about every 3 years, and we look at what we're going to do and how we're going to shift focuses and priorities or support priorities that we currently maintain. And in this process, we've looked at with our stakeholders what is happening right now, what has happened through this pandemic, and social isolation, of course, and loneliness in our service sectors were the number one and number two thing that were mentioned. And so we want to make sure that we can address that. Even though, in many ways we can't be there face to face with our clients. So we really looked at, how we could invest in, a virtual environment through many of these services. And we created a new program called Virtual Friends, which supports our volunteer corps, our senior companions, RSVP, and senior friends programs, so that we could still continue to meet and interact with the seniors that we serve virtually, making sure they had technology in place to be able to interact with us and to make sure that they had the training necessary to be able to use that technology, right? Because that's a huge component. We can give them the equipment, but it can be overwhelming to use. So we want to make sure that they know how to actually use it and interact with us. And, we're also seeing some innovative solutions from some of our partners too. DSHS and the Aging and Long-Term Care Support Administration is deploying robotic pets to seniors, isolated seniors. Yeah. So we're seeing kind of personified technologies being utilized across these sectors and domains. And we'll continue to see that innovation. It's really exciting.
Wow. And that's a beautiful thing. The fact, unfortunately, COVID has put us in a position where we don't get to have that one-on-one personal interaction. So I think that is amazing that LCS Northwest has found a way to still, reach out to the folks that are in need of your services, just like we're doing on Zoom here today. So I'm glad that you're still able to provide services and communicate with the folks that need you, that out in the community. So that's pretty amazing as well. And, the other thing, Joseph, how should Tacoma prepare for the silver tsunami of the baby boom generation and other trends in aging in the coming years or decades?
Yeah, well, we're all trying to crack that one. It is a challenge. As you know, the census data is showing that our aging populations are going through a huge growth right now, and our future generations are shrinking. So we have this huge inequity, and most of those services to our senior populations have been met by the younger generation. A lot of like our home care aides, a lot of our volunteer force, many of them have been younger. And so, you know, in many ways, LCS has been a little bit ahead of the curve here, as we have invested and fostered programs designed to address senior companionship and senior friendship and senior services by using seniors themselves, which is I'm really proud of the work that we do there, because it's creative, and who better to serve seniors who are isolated than seniors themselves, right? Who know what it's like, who know what their needs are, who know what their interests may be, things like that. So we have programs that actively recruit and volunteer seniors in the community to match them with other seniors to help address those issues. That's one way that we're really trying to tackle this. Now, of course, we're going to have to continue to innovate, and we're going to have to continue to get these younger generations involved with our senior generations. But we're continuing to do that. And that's part of the strategic planning process that we're going through right now.
Wonderful. Well, your passion for reaching out to our, I call them our mature community, aka our seniors, is definitely awesome. And they, you know, I know for certain that they appreciate that, you know, the companionship, the friendship. So thank you for that portion of what you offer as well. And then Joseph, one final question for you. How can people volunteer or donate to the agency to keep the work going?
That is a great one. We love to talk about volunteers, and anytime anyone's willing to donate, we are glad to accept that help. The easiest way is to go to our website at lcsnw.org. At the top of the website is a link called Make a Difference. If you click on that link, you'll be given an opportunity to donate to a variety of services that we offer, and you can kind of pick and choose where you would like to see those donations go. And you can donate through a number of means, you know, electronically, via credit card, via e-check, via traditional check, whatever makes sense for you. So that's the easiest way to do that. And if you want to volunteer, we have a ton of volunteer opportunities. Our Center for Seniors program is always looking for ways that we can get volunteers to help us assemble donation kits that we put together for isolated seniors in the community during special times of the year, including Christmas. And our senior media services, we deliver a very special senior newspaper, and that is all delivered through volunteer drivers. So we're always looking for volunteer drivers to be able to help in those programs. And then, of course, in refugee services, you can sponsor families, you can sponsor refugees, you can help make their transition into our communities a little bit easier through that sponsorship. And that's all volunteer also. So you can contact our Tacoma office here, and you can reach us via email. I don't know if we have the link, the graphics for the screen, but you can call us at 253-722-5680, and you can always email us at LCS at lcsnw.org. You can find all the email links for the various programs. So please reach out if you have any interest in donating or volunteering. We're glad to have the help.
Thank you, Joseph. Well, Matt and Joseph, we certainly appreciate sharing with our viewers the rich history of LCS Northwest, along with all of the services they have to offer. We appreciate what both of you are doing for the community. So thank you so, so much. And I hope that the both of you come back to the show again, give us an update on how things are going. And once again, thank you both so much for being on the show. We certainly appreciate both of you and the organization.
Thank you. We're proud to be Tacoma born.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Stick around. We'll be right back after this quick break.